Hello, livestock friends, and welcome to this edition of Before the Bid. This is a podcast dedicated to the livestock sales industry where we go behind the scenes of the operation and speak straight to the sellers. We discuss topics about the important aspects of their operation, location, the people behind the prep work, and talk about some of the animals that will be offered to you, the prospective buyers. Hopefully, you've got your sale catalog close by. You might have to go look through that pile on your desk. But if not, then you're probably like me and driving down the road or busy with chores around the farm. And that's okay too. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoy this segment of Before the Bid. I'm your host, Andy Howell. Welcome, livestock friends, to this edition of Before the Bid podcast. Now, my guest, I don't think I told him that this is the first one that we're recording here for the fall of 2021, and I'm excited about the guests that I have on here for this edition. And I have a third-generation livestock producer on the phone with me here, and he also is into the row crop, and also he does some hay, does some custom hay. He says he needs all that to feed some of those cattle and then selling some of that. He's a Black Hawk attendee, or was a Black Hawk attendee. Also, he attended Oklahoma State and so graduated from there and was able to come back home and start and continue this livestock production that they have there. And I am talking to a guy from Line Show Cattle in Seaton, Illinois, and I'm talking to AJ Line here, and AJ and I have been talking a little bit here to get this one set up, and really enjoy this guy and the things that he has to say and the things that he has to tell you. And I want to tell you they have a sale on SC, and that sale is going to be on September 7th. If you are an early looker on SC, you'll see that there was a sale on September 7th and September 8th, but they have combined those two sales, and they're going to have one sale on September 7th and put the females in that sale as well. So really excited to talk to my guest on this edition, AJ Line. And AJ, warm out there in Illinois, and you guys got your pictures done yesterday, the day before we're recording this, and man, that had to be a hot one to get all those done.
Yeah, we were really excited. Actually, it wasn't that bad. We caught a break in the weather that day.
Awesome.
It was a lot better than what it sounds like we're going to get this week, so we were pretty fortunate.
Well, that's good, and kind of interesting how it gets hot right here, and those sale picture days and video days. Sometimes sometimes you don't get to plan it very well, and you got to do it when it's hot or not, right?
Yeah, you're fortunate. We caught a nice little rain this morning, caught about 8 cents and stuff, and we're fortunate for that. But after that, it's going to get hot for 4 or 5 days in a row.
Right.
That humidity here is not fun sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a problem. So, AJ, third generation livestock producer, if you would start us out. How did you guys get started and get started with Line Show Cattle and row crop operation and the hay operation and things? Where did all that begin?
I guess I start with my grandpa John. Honestly, he was a farmer. He would crop ground 50-50 from landowners and whatnot, and always had some pigs that he farrowed out and fed on the side, and did that. Always had a couple cows here and there. And when my dad had the opportunity to take on another landlord, some pasture actually came up, and he was able to kind of start expanding the livestock operation. Buying some key cattle I think he had bought back in the day, and started off with some Angus cattle there. Mm-hmm. I know him and Moose Johnson used to do some work like that. Bertelson Farms around here, both Angus operations. Mm-hmm. He had an opportunity to buy some cows with that landlord 50-50, and he started AIing some of those cows and just making better females out of them Angus and Key. And I know back in the 90s he would take few bulls to Louisville and whatnot. I think they won a Key division maybe down there one time. He doesn't talk much about it, but...
Mm-hmm. Now, when you talk to Keys, are we talking the great big Keys, or was that kind of when they came back?
I think it was a black Key bull, to be honest, I think. Mm-hmm. I'd have to ask him. I remember him talking about it when I was younger, but I honestly don't know much more about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So no, I remember he started off with some Keys and some Angus cows, and I always remember some Angus cows like Truck Angus he used to have when I was a kid. He'd say a 345 that we had, just stuff like that, and we started off AIing from those. And it's funny, I actually have his AI books I found in a old drawer there the other day.
Oh,
I
wow.
have never seen him, and I found him about 2 months ago of some of that old stuff he was AI into back in 2003 and 2004 and 2005. I just haven't had the opportunity to run through them yet. They were pretty cool. I just thumbed through them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm anxious to go through there when I get a minute here after getting these sale pictures done and get a break.
You didn't go through them enough you don't remember any of those bulls?
Oh, I remember seeing like Playmate a bunch
Uh-huh.
in there, and there was quite a bit of Heat Wave,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Heat Seeker,
Uh-huh.
stuff like that he was taking to these cows,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and just taking some other Angus bulls too. I remember some easy calving stuff that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'd have to thumb through it again, like I said, to be honest.
Right.
He had about 40 cows there at the time, and we had an opportunity to pick up another pasture, and we picked that up, and sooner than later we were up to 80, 90 cows there by 2006 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And, we stayed right there at about that 100, 120 mark till I'd say we got to about 2012 or 14, and we started to get just a few more each year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in 2018 is probably the first year we broke over 200 cows that we'd calve out and have around here all year long, like mama cows, and feed in the winter. So that's pretty exciting for me. And my goal is one day to get to 500, which Dad keeps shaking his head. But I think if a guy just keeps trying to pick up pastures here and there that are nice size, that could happen one day. And it's baby steps. You can't take big leaps and whatnot. So.
Right. Those young guys make their dads shake their heads, don't they?
Yeah, no kid. I give him a few gray hairs. I know I do.
Right.
But he keeps on plugging along.
So these 200 cows, are we breeding Angus cattle? You breeding show cattle? What?
I'd say there's 220 mama cows running around here that will calve out this winter. A lot of those, I'd say about 120 of them are recip cows that we transfer eggs in.
Mm-hmm.
We transfer, I'd say, about 130 to 40 eggs here a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the other cows, the rest of them 100 to 110 are AI cows. And there's about a 3-month span where we are pretty strict. Grant and Malone and Dad and I are very strict on watching heats morning and night.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take up a lot of time in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of main cows around here. I think those cross really well with what we're trying to do with making show steers.
Mm-hmm.
Having some Angus in them cows obviously helps for, structure and getting some depth of body. And have a lot of Simmental cows. I'd say we AI about 40 to 50 Simmental cows each spring.
Mm-hmm.
Really like doing that, making a lot of half-bloods and purebred Simmentals. I think those make awesome mamas just in terms of their mothering ability, their stoutness, their foot size, bone, rib cage.
Mm-hmm.
Really like that about them semis.
Mm-hmm. Now, was the show cattle thing, was that your thing to push to, or was that what your dad was in?
Dad's always AI'd for some show cows. Probably back as far as I can remember, as back as about 2004. I'd have been about 8 or 9 years old when I was like, okay, he's trying to make something here with these. These ain't just like commercial cattle and stuff, He's like AIing them and doing all that stuff, where I started to kind of learn what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in 2008, I remember him and Jim Bloomberg owned a cow together. They called her Mary, which they resold at one point. There had been a guy come through, Wade Rogers, which everyone knows, RCC cattle company in the cattle deal. He's got a great reputation for himself with the bulls and selling show steers. And he'd come through there, and I remember 2008, bought 3 steers from Dad for a pretty good chunk of change. I remember one of them would have went and won the Indiana State Fair.
Mm-hmm.
One of them would have been reserve in Iowa that year. In 2008, those were actually split embryo brothers.
Oh, wow.
Been heat wave Marys. Yep, and they were Bronco-headed too, just like a couple of these other ones in the sale are.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool time to kind of remember that. I was just kind of old enough to really remember that, and that was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, did he let you show any of these?
No, I didn't actually. Dad had sold them. Dad was always big on selling the ones that we raised, and he'd always go find and buy something. Okay. He always figured if you showed the one you raised, no one would want to come look at your stuff and buy your stuff because you're just keeping the best ones.
Right.
So we've always had the motto, we sell everything we raise.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Dad would always go over to traders like Todd Caldwell and Wade Rogers and buy from other places. He'd go out west to South Dakota, Nebraska, and look for 3 or 4 days every year. Him and Jason Rader would, trying to find show steers. I remember my first year ever going out there, they flew me out to Nick Ryman at the time when he was actually still alive. We'd buy quite a few show steers from there. He was a great cattleman. He actually lost his life in an airplane crash. They're coming home from a sale. Yeah, we used to do a lot of business with him and fly out there. I remember those days. They were awesome.
Yeah, I'll bet.
You definitely remember your first days in South Dakota looking at all them cows out there.
Right, right.
Cow country.
So I'm going to guess you had some success then growing up showing some cattle as well then.
I was very fortunate that my dad was very stubborn-headed and competitive. He did not like losing. I remember as a kid, Dad, you would get fired up sometimes. And I'm pretty, honestly, I'd call myself just a little bit calmer than my dad at shows. I'm able to kind of shake my head and walk on to the next one. He don't like losing.
Right, right.
So that was a learning experience growing up for dang sure. Right. But no, I was very fortunate. He had a great eye. I wouldn't know what I know today and what I see in cattle if it wasn't for Dad, and just seeing the cattle that he was able to pick out and come back here and feed. Me and him maybe didn't talk about cattle like all the time, but I could just see the kind that he picked out, and we talked about him enough with feeding and stuff like that. I wasn't just able to go with him and pick out them cattle. I was always playing sports in high school. That had me busy. While Mom was running me around about every night of the week to different sports because Dad wanted me to be he thought I could be a pro baseball player, and I was like, you're freaking nuts. We was going to baseball lessons 3-4 nights a week, and I was like, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I love baseball, but
right.
Boy, it's a very slim percentage of that people that go pro in that deal and make a living off it.
Right. Right. Much like the cattle deal.
Yeah, that's actually, I was committed to go play baseball about a few weeks before I was about to start freshman year of college, and Dan Hogue actually called me, talked to my dad, and he was like, you really think you're going to go pro in baseball? And I was like, honestly, probably not, but Dad thinks I am. He said, why don't you come here and go to Blackhawk and judge for me? And I said, that's fine. I'll go ahead and do that. And I turned my head that day and signed and went to Blackhawk.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool.
Yes.
That was dang cool.
That's neat. 2 great opportunities.
Yeah, it did. It was awesome. I met so many people. That's when I kind of decided I wanted to be involved in the farming part of the aspect of our operation and come back and try to make our cattle herd a lot better and just improve from year to year. Honestly, that's my biggest goal, just to make our cows better and more consistent from the bottom line, and just try to create a couple of them cow families that I think are really powerful. Obviously, I think a lot of these steers we're selling, these cow families are, they just didn't happen overnight. We've been breeding and picking out these cows in sales and over the years and build this cow herd up.
Okay. Well, that's a great history lesson there, and kind of lead us into the next segment here. All your success and all your breeding and that sort of thing. Why, sounds like it really kind of paid off this year and here in the recent past.
Last year we had kind of I'd call it my first year having my own sale, kind of with a lot of the cattle that I went around and gathered by myself. Very fortunate to sell a steer very, very high last year. For my first year, I sold him for $30,000 to Todd Caldwell, and he ended up actually just being a 3rd overall steer at our state fair the other day here in Illinois. So he went to a very good family. The Ellerbrock family, Cash and Ellerbrock, would have shown him.
Sure.
And they did an awesome job with that calf this summer. Got him hairy and chubby, and the way that calf needed to be looking. He was dressed to the nines at state fair, and that was just a really good show that day, and that's where he fell. There were several other steers. We just had a steer that was reserve bronze division actually yesterday in that Cattle Bonanza in Indiana. He would have been a steer the Hill family would have bought out of there.
Sure.
Last year, he was a very nice calf to feed all summer.
You had success in Missouri as well, right?
Yeah, that would have been actually one. I bought that calf off a Facebook picture.
Oh wow.
A girl posted that in a comment on, I think it was Everything Is Show Cattle or something like that, and on a Facebook account deal where people post cattle in there and sell them. And I clicked on that there, and she had that Walks Alone steer. His May picture was put up, and it was August at that time, and I was like, dang, that's a baby calf right there. I wonder what age that thing is. He just looks really hairy and fuzzy, and just looked like a nice club calf, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd sent me some videos the next day. I'd contacted her and asked her if I could get some videos, and she sent them the next day. And it was just this really sound, big-bodied, easy feeding type of walks alone. He looked like he had some muscle to him, and she offered him at $1,500, and I didn't argue with her one bit, to be honest with you. I sent a kid by the name of Robert Scholl to pick up that calf the next day there in Kansas, and he was in a little pen by himself. He backed up there, loaded him up, got that thing home, and I was pretty tickled pink, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got bought by a man named Kendall Bremer at first, and then sold to Blaine Rogers there in Missouri. Yep, that'd be the steer that just won the Missouri State Fair the other day.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah, he's got a pretty neat little story. I bought the pair off the old rancher this spring, to be honest with you. I thought that calf was really good, and I thought I could add that cow to my cow battery
Mm-hmm.
and do some good things with her.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have quite a few embryos coming out of her next year.
Good. Not bred the same way?
Actually, they'll be out of my Here We Go bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, taking a really, really good cow like that, I might as well take him to try my bull out on her. And obviously she works
Mm-hmm.
on clubby bulls, and so I thought that pair would be nice, to be honest with you. I'm excited for those to come next February. I think they'll be coming.
Well, good. Yeah, we'll talk about those bulls here in just a little bit. If you go to the Line Show Cattle Facebook page, you guys have got some other pictures up there of some successes that you guys have had this summer in state fairs.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them in there. We had we were fortunate enough to have the reserve steer at North Dakota this year, 5th overall steer there at California Youth Expo. That would have been another one that Blaine Rogers would have bought off me
Mm-hmm.
and sent out to the Wheeler family in California. That calf's always been a stud, to be honest. I would have bought him out of Nebraska from a guy named Kurt Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be another walks alone. I think I had more walks alones here than anybody in the country last year.
Yeah.
That's an older bull, but I really, really like some of them cattle. They got some shape to them, actually, and some punch is what I call it, and some natural bone density.
Mm-hmm.
I think them cattle can feed. They feed quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
No, I ain't scared to have any of those around. And no, it's a very good state fair season, and we're really excited about this set we got coming up, to be honest with you. We think we're as deep as we ever have been. We think there's 8 to, a dozen of them things that can go compete at a state fair and go to them throwdowns in Iowa and stuff like that, and Illinois especially.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you know what it takes because you've been competitive there already.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty confident in the group that we sold last year, and, it's hard being young and starting off in this deal, kind of trying to sell these state fair quality cattle. You got a lot of old guys not old guys, but they've won a lot of shows, and it's tough competing against them guys that are established in this deal. They know what they're doing, and they've done it for a lot more years than you, and you really watch them and learn from them, to be honest. That's the people you learn from, is the people that are winning right now and consistently been doing it for a lot of years. That's who you try to learn from, I think, to try to get better, and just taking tricks of the trade, I call it, from them.
Right.
Yeah, my grandpa, he would have told me at a very young age. It didn't come about me till I was in my later teens, but use your ears twice as much as your mouth. And that's really come about in the past 6 or 7 years to try and learn.
Right. How many people could use that? Use your ears twice as much as your mouth. I could probably use that from time to time myself, but...
Yeah, it didn't set into me when he started saying it when I was in my younger teens. By the time I got to 18, 19, I was like, okay, I kind of figure out what he's trying to say with this. You could probably learn a lot more if you just use them 2 ears instead of your mouth sometimes.
Right.
So that's what I've kind of always held in my head
Mm-hmm.
nowadays.
Yeah. And we'll back up just a bit and kind of continue on just a bit too, but you've got some guys around there that have probably heard that as well, that have helped out with finding these cattle and getting these cattle ready and things like that. And I want to give you some time to introduce those guys.
There's a crew behind making this operation run, and I mean, it's Grant Malone, Todd Line, my brother Dalton Line. Peyton even gets out there and helps on embryo days, keep book. We're putting in, 20 to 40 embryos a day back in the corral.
Mm-hmm.
My mom she's great, especially on picture days, and we're having events to get stuff cleaned up and get food for everybody. She's always making sure everyone's well fed and got plenty of drinks, because it can get hot out there working on these things.
Right.
But no, To be honest, Grant and I put a lot of hours into these cows here, getting these calves ready, clipped, broke. We cut all our own cattle here.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a day where we don't see these things. We live with them, to be honest with you. And we get a little bit of a break when we're done AI and when them bulls go out
Mm-hmm.
for 45 to 60 days. But boy, I feel like it's 10 months out of the year living with these things, calving them out. Making sure them calves are healthy. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
When those cows have a bull calf with a brockle head and stuff, that's just the beginning, keeping them things healthy in the spring. As much as this Midwest weather can fluctuate around here,
Right.
we were very, very fortunate to have not very much sickness this year. And there's been years where a guy can get down on himself pretty good. You check them things day in and day out, and
Right.
some things get quick pneumonia and about nothing you can do about it. And that's been tough some years, to be honest with you. But this year we were very fortunate, knock on wood, to have some good health.
And speaking of the Midwest, you're in Seaton, Illinois. Where can we tell everybody that's at? Let's give them some reference.
I usually
points,
tell
I
everybody it's
guess.
about 35 to 40 minutes south of Davenport.
Okay.
Right along 80 is where a lot of people know where Davenport is. They're off 80, so
Right.
that's kind of where my pinpoint is, to tell people that I'm 40 minutes just south of there.
Okay.
We're not too far from Galesburg either, off 74. I'd say about 30 minutes if you're ever going that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's another interstate that connects. And honestly, you get all the way here to highway. It's just 2 miles on gravel out here in the sticks.
Okay.
We like to know who's driving down our roads.
Right. Just a lot of traffic there in the fall coming to look at cattle, though, right?
It is a lot. It's been good so far. Very fortunate that people have heard about the set that we got here, and just had a lot of interest already. This spring was awesome, to be honest with you. All them people trying to buy stuff out of here, and I hate telling people no. I have a problem telling people no usually, but
Mm-hmm.
told all them guys no this year, and I was going to save all my steers that we'd raised for our sale this fall. And Grant and I and Dad had agreed upon that, and we're offering them in this September 7th sale, which we're really excited to actually, let all them go this year. Had everyone a fair shot at them.
Right.
So
Before we get to those guys, you've got a couple bulls that you're using, that you're promoting a little bit.
yeah, there's a bull I would have bought from Dave DeWello this year in Oklahoma City. His name was actually Here We Go, and he was one of his bulls he had down there. He was in the corner. I really liked the bull. I liked his shape, liked his rib cage, liked the angles that he had and how square he was for having as much shape that he had. Thought he was just really a cow changer is what I called him, to be honest. The guy could take him to some really extended-looking cows that were square-hipped and flexible, and thought he'd work very, very good on them. So we bought him, and I'd say I honestly will have about 40 to 50 of them things next year.
Mm-hmm.
I used him pretty heavy. I was very confident. I had a very good interest in him. Sold a couple hundred units of semen that people, they said they used their cane. I know I had a couple guys come get more, so
Mm-hmm.
that was good. That had actually seen the bull. I sold more semen on the bull actually while he was at stud than I was actually trying to peddle it myself. Just the people that actually laid eyes on the bull and seen how he didn't melt, like just from his show feed fat, people just display him and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a true kind of a club calf beef bull, to be honest. He's got plenty of muscle and rib, and his structure's still awesome, and bone and hair, and
Mm-hmm.
just really does a lot of good things when he's setting the motion on it from a balance standpoint.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have some of those. I have a lot of those next year out of these donors, some of these steers selling. And I got a new bull I'm going to promote this year. He's a colored up little rascal, but I think he's got some very, very unique pieces to take to some cows and kind of be another cow changer is what I call him. Viable if I think I can use them on my own cows. I think I have enough cows, I can take these bulls to and use them myself. So I kind of believe in them that much that I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're that good.
Mm-hmm. And you told me earlier you kind of kept this new bull under wraps. Do you want to let us know his name and a little more about him? I got to see a video of him, and boy, this rascal is good.
I got two names for him actually still,
Okay.
but I'm leaning towards one. I call him New Medicine.
Okay.
So I think it's a cool little name. I think it's pretty fitting for him. He's a king of men, solid gold. He's actually come from a far embryo purchase there in Indiana, far. I don't know if he knows that I'm going to leave the seeds in one of his offspring, but I should probably call him one of these days and let him know I just made that decision the other day. So,
say, oh, by the way, Tom, this is what's going to happen, huh?
Yep. I decided not to cut him there the other day, and I figured I might call him here sometime and tell him that.
Well, maybe you'll hear about it on the podcast.
Really excited about seeing some of these offspring. About the Here We Go. That bull looks as good as he honestly ever has. Just coming off cows there about a month ago, and I just put him back in with some cows here today actually to breed for some Junes. I think that bull's got enough power and stoutness to breed for some southern black slicking cattle that I get enough of them Texas guys to come up that I think I can offer them guys a few of them aged ones.
Yeah, and if you don't know the bull, guys, go to Line Show Cattle on Facebook, and you got to go down just a little bit, but there's a picture posted of him there in February, and boy, he is really, really neat. Got a few little videos down there on him, and so yeah, go check out Here We Go, and watch for progeny on him, I'm sure.
You know what's funny? When you own a bull named Here We Go, you never realize how many times people say, "Here we go." It is nuts.
Right.
Me and Grant will just sit there, be looking at each other, and you hear a song or you see something on TV or you just see something that says, "Here we go," and you just look at each other. And it's honestly a daily occurrence, several times a day sometimes.
Right. It's so catchy.
We just get a kick out of it now because, we see that bull every day, and that's just funny to us.
Yeah, and very catchy, and he's a good one.
I'm as excited as I ever have been about breeding season this year. I bred that bull to a lot of cows. I'm really excited. It'll be real smart, or I won't look smart, I guess.
Right.
That's the way I kind of see it. I'm a zero or hero kind of a guy, though, so
right.
That's just the way I roll.
Right. Well, I sure think if he produces like he looks, why you're sure gonna be in the hot seat.
I'm pretty pumped.
Well, AJ, you ready to get into some of these sale cattle that we've got?
Yeah, I'm ready if you are.
Okay. Yeah, we've again got the sale September 7th on SC Online Sales, and he's going to try to get those posted very soon, probably here before the podcast even comes out. Have those posted on there so you can go on there and look at them as we talk about them, or you can watch podcast video that we're going to put together here if you're listening on Podbean or Spotify or anything like that. Why, go to our Facebook page before the bid, and we'll have that video up soon, or you can go to Line Show Cattle, and I'm sure AJ's going to share it, and it's going to be all over there as well. And you can watch as AJ's going to talk about these cattle that are in this sale here on September 7th. So, AJ, here we go, man. Just go for it.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and start off with, honestly, the Angus steer. He's a primo O'Reilly factor I would have bought from Kurt Hickenbottom just here a few weeks ago. I called Kirk, and we usually fit the BS back and forth about what commercial cattle are going to be bringing in and what these fat cattle are going to be selling for, and when a guy needs to be selling his feeder cattle. And Kurt usually breeds a few cattle to primo and whatnot. He sells a pile of commercial Angus bulls, to be honest, is what his real business is. But usually every year he'll have a couple Angus steers, and boy, I think he hit it out of the park this year, to be honest with you. He's honestly one of my most excited calves to follow around all winter and into next year. Just awesome structured. His presence is a 10 out of 10, just the way he ties his neck on the top side of his shoulder. Got hair hanging off his ears. He's long-hipped. Love his structure. And his body shape just looks so practical and easy feeding to me. I just think this calf has a Atlanta Lincoln Illinois steer. Just got a really, really bright future. Going to be stout come here in a few weeks. He come in, I just weaned him off the cow there and took him straight off there, and halter broke him, and he broke pretty easily. I think in 2 more weeks, that calf is going to absolutely explode. And he's done it already, to be honest. Out of any, he's put on more weight than anything for being here just 10 days.
Right.
So I'm really excited to follow that one around.
Right. Well, I want to make sure we get the tag number. What's his tag number?
76.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just scroll right over here to tag 77, and I've kind of called him Motley Crew his whole life. You just look at his color, and it just looks kind of wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pretty sad little story. The day before I went to reflush this cow, she would have died on a Wednesday, and I was going to reflush her on a Thursday this same way and make more embryos out of this same mating. This is a Here I Am gold mine out of a purebred Simmental cow that I think is just dressed to the nines, to be honest with you.
Boy, he is
Just
super cool.
Neck and presence and length of spine, square out through his hip. He's got big, just circumference of bone, and rib cage just looks so easy feeding, especially for this stage of the game. I mean, I just think this calf has got a world of potential. I'd love to see this calf in Iowa, to be honest, because he bleeds that 50% Simmental, which they have to be to show out there. But as long as he goes to a good family, I'm excited for this one's future. I think he can make a knock at a lot of shows this winter and be ultra competitive to go to Cooler next summer and feed as a fat steer.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'm looking at him and really like, I mean, this guy moves like a jungle cat, man.
Oh, you ought to see there's a moving picture of him here. Did you see that one?
I'm looking at those videos you sent me, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're looking at the videos. There's a picture, too, that John Reeser would have done my pictures and videos. He's as good as there is, I think. He just would have done these yesterday and got him back today. He's quick, and he just does an awesome job. He's so patient in the picture pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's just presence and the way he gets around like a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have that on the video for sure. He's smoker.
He has got some big circumference bone on him. That's what I'm big on. I just like them big bone rascals. I like his skull shape too. He's not like a long-headed one. He's got some width between his eyes. That's going to tell me he's going to feed. Kind of read him like a pig there, but I read these things more like a pig and sheep than more what a guy would think. I like doing that.
Right. Well, that's tag 77. You got another chromed up one there on tag 78.
Yeah, that's a no guts, no glory on a Fu Manchu cow. That's a really, really good calf. Just bulky is what I call him, with an ultra good presence. Really ties his neck high, the top side of his shoulder, round ribbed, square hip. That calf's got big. Another one's got big bones on him. And just cool color. Just an attention getter, to be honest with you. I call him Dotsy. He's got, if you look there on the inside of his legs, he's got black dots there everywhere. You can only see two of them in his picture, but if you really get behind him, he's got just perfect little black circle dots on him. I call him Dotsy.
Yeah,
I really like that calf. I see him more as a Kansas City to a later state fair one, but that's a really good calf to feed on.
Absolutely.
Next one would be tag 79. That's a big, stout state fair steer. Just ultra good looking. I don't know how you make their rib cage any bigger. I mean, rear end any square, bigger, sound legs. Just a really, really, I think that one at early shows is really going to be tough. And I think, honestly, you shoot that one for an early one of them county fairs or an early state fair. I think where he goes, he fits in really good. I'm not going to say that calf's going to hold till Kansas City or anything like that. He's big and he's ready to roll. But that's a really, really good feeding steer. I love so many things about that thing. I bred that cow back the same way. I'd like that calf since the day he was born.
Right. I can understand why.
I'm sure Matt will be happy with me when he sees that one float up and sees that of his bull.
Sure.
Next one, I'll talk. There's a gold one in here. There he is.
81.
Tag 81. I think that calf has got ultra good running gear. He's kid broke. Angles are absolutely perfect. Short back, square hip. That one's going to be a really fun one to feed for someone. I see that one being really, really competitive at a state fair next year, especially on like a dirt surface. Really hoping that calf goes to, Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, something like that. That one's ultra cool.
Smoke-colored steer just like him won Indiana this time. So
you betcha. They just look so good on them dirt, I think.
He's neat. Yeah, you look down through the whole line of yours, and boy, you pick him out pretty quick. One, because of his color, and two, because you got a great
There's one
picture on
gold
him.
one, and there's a silver baldy on there. They'd be about, and there's another gold and white one.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a bunch of colored ones. I forgot how many we even pictured that day. They kept bringing them into the wash rack, and they'd blow them out, and then bring them into the clipping area, and we just keep clipping them and sending them out there.
All right, well, you did quite well on him.
Yeah, it was a busy day. It was a busy day there yesterday. It was fun, though. I liked doing that. We had a great crew together. A couple kids there from Black Hawk and Zach Colbert. Yeah, another one is that 84 steer. I like that calf quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Rockle-headed one. I think that calf, you can't, if you look at his picture, you can't paint him any better from the side.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way his head and presence is up the way through his jaw line, the way his chest floor sits into him, the angle to his scapula there. Another one, just really good rib for this stage of the game, and really, really flexible, clean jointed, square hipped, and you can't hate the brockle on him.
Right, he sticks out.
So I got 4 of those full sibs here. He'd be the only, I'd call him state fair size one, but there's 3 more that I think are Kansas City to even them down south shows they would work awesome for, because they're big and they're stout little rascals. That pedigree works awesome. I'll have a bunch of them next year again.
Mm-hmm.
That's another cow I put a lot of faith into. Those are Here I Am, Smoking Joe Ollie's.
Mm-hmm.
That cow's done a really, really good job.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pile of them. That silver baldy there next to him is, I think, as good and as burly of a state fair steer as you'll find.
Mm-hmm. And that's tag 85.
Yep, that's tag 85. That's an In God We Trust. Just humongous ribbed, big square pinned, big ended, and he's a silver baldy on top of it. That's just another one. Awesome, I think.
And how many of the In God We Trust have been winning everything, too?
Oh, and they feed so good, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You about just let them eat all their life. And I'll have a lot more of them cattle next year. I think those cattle are doing very, very good things right now, just in terms of their practicality and their rib and their foot size and their bone density.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real big fans of that. They put plenty of shape into them. I really like the way that bull breeds on some of my cows here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a lot more of those next year, and definitely have a few more of these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like him too if he'd spit those out.
That cow's foot is probably as big a footed as anything in the sale.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely incredible. He was sitting there on the wash rack earlier, and I actually took a video of him, and it just blows my mind how good that calf looks wet.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is that, and that's tag 85.
Mm-hmm.
Other one is tag 88. I like that calf a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win endowed out of our 699 donor. Him and tag 89 would actually be maternal sibs if you're looking at them on the picture, so you can scroll back and forth real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Those two would actually be sibs. 88 is a win endowed Judgment Day, which we call her our 699 donor.
Mm-hmm.
And 699 would actually be a Judgment Day, really windy cow we would have bought there originated from Ben Danner over there in Muscatine, Iowa. There'll be a lot of calves next year out of that cow.
Mm-hmm.
Just an absolute freak. And I think she's actually a pH carrier, so we take her to these TH bulls, and it knocks them out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited on them 2 sibs.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth on which one I like. It's honestly a toss-up for me each day. I think they're both so different in the way a guy feeds them and where a guy takes them things too also. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm big fans of them. I'll have a dozen of them calves next year out of that donor.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought so much of them calves, and Grant and I thought so much of them calves when they were young, and we decided we need to make a bunch more of those deals.
Mm-hmm. I would too. Look at their videos, look at their pictures, and yeah, I don't blame you a bit.
Well, you have years where you don't have ones that look like these. You know, we're very fortunate this year that we are starting to figure a lot of these cows out and what they need bred to, and you know, you just keep kind of repeating that and trying to make them better. Like I said, year in and year out, we always go look at the bulls that we use on these cows before we go through breeding season and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, this stuff just didn't happen overnight. You know, we've been kind of putting our heads together now for several years trying to make some of these things. And the white heifer, that tag 90 heifer. If you scroll over her real quick.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping you weren't going to skip all those heifers.
No, I think that one's it's unique to it's humbling to be able to raise one like that, that looks like that, and have that type of rib cage. And I call her very diverse in where she can go and show at. I see her actually showing as a composite female this winter and being very competitive, and I think a guy can gauge her for that composite deal next summer and do the same thing, or, you know, feed her a little different and take her and show her as a market heifer in Iowa. That one's got enough pin width and rib cage and just extras in terms of hair and bone that she can really go and do whatever. And I really hope she doesn't get her. That's why I get scared showing her if she goes to Iowa or something like that as a market heifer, getting her head cut off. But I think that one's breeding value is absolutely through the roof. So it's like you say, you don't, it's whoever buys her, but that one can make some stuff one day. I think can be very, very valuable. She's out of Smith calves. We sell every calf that cow's ever had since we've bought her, so she's always a home run.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on what you need on this one. I absolutely agree. She looks so versatile. Yeah, and do you feed her one way and then
puppy dog broke too.
That's great.
So that was one. She didn't break too hard. She was 2 or 3 days, and she was like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm over this.
I want to be a show cow."
Yeah, I think about the second day time, I had her on the wash rack, and she was a big fan of the fans and getting washed and cleaned up. You can imagine how dirty them white ones are after coming in off pasture and whatnot.
Right.
It's exciting to get them ones cleaned up for the first time. Same way with them steers. It was exciting getting them, just some colored ones and even the black ones cleaned up for the first time, just to see, what you really got under there. That's been exciting just to see how these things have changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know another one. I like that Angus heifer a great deal. Just great looking, big soggy bellied, great running gear. Feet and legs are awesome on that one, and bred good too. She's a Insight round table first class.
She's tagged 93.
Yep, tagged 93 on that one.
Right.
Just a really, really good heifer. Then there's another heifer. Here she is, tag 83. That's one you got to come see in person. That one will shock you in person. Just her flexibility, and I think that one actually is a really, really, really good bred. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody she's going to go win prospect shows, but I think if someone sticks with that one and feeds her as a bred heifer, I think she's really special. She changes a lot when you get a halter on that one. I don't know too many shows where they show loose.
Right. Right, but she sure got the pieces.
Yeah, for sure. They grow into them front ends and semis deal. No, I'm excited about that one.
Absolutely.
This wholesale group, honestly, they're as deep as what we've ever offered. I think that the county fair level stock are as deep as what they've been, all the way up to the consistency of our state fair level steers. I think there's 8 to 10 of them things that can go be really, really competitive. And I kind of try to gauge some of the families that are coming in. They're like, "Hey, we just want a county fair steer," and I say, "Well, have you seen this one, this one, this one?" Because they aren't looking to spend the 10, 15,000 like some of those state fair families are. But I really get after start trying to win some of them county fairs. I'm a kind of a kid at heart and competitive, and I really do like trying to win them things.
Right.
It's fun for families, so.
Right. You always want to win your county fair. Yeah, and I think from what I know and what I can see on videos and pictures, why they sure a competitive set here at any level that anybody wants to play.
Some days I think Dad wasn't a fan of us wanting to fit him and whatnot, just because he thinks it takes a little more time. But boy, I think then things look extra good when you just put a little bit of glue in their hair and just pull them legs a little bit, and do their tail head, and pull them in and take your time on them, fitting them and clipping them.
You sure have them looking super here for the videos and pictures and things. So yeah, make sure you guys check the podcast video out. Go see those on SC Online Sales, and look at the great set that Lion Show Cattle has here. So
yeah, we're excited about them for dang sure. really excited. Grant and I are to follow these things around this winter and next summer.
Hmm. Now, so you guys do you run some customer service there with those, and you'll go and help these guys all that they possibly can, and do some fitting on these as well.
Oh, absolutely. We stay in very good touch with all the people that buy cattle from here. Oh heck, we're gone about every weekend in the winter and such. And I feel about the only break a guy gets is during selling season, not going to shows,
Hmm.
and in May. That's about the only time, because I feel like the junior nationals start up there in June, and there's prospect shows that run in all into April now, and
Right.
it's tough. It's tough calving out 200 and some cows here and having as much money as a guy does wrapped up in these embryos that we have here
Hmm.
and AI and these cows. You want to stay home and baby them and make sure everything's okay and going to shows. But we dedicate going to shows every weekend in the winter, and following customers around. There's sometimes where you can't make it to every single one, where you got 3 or 4 calves at one show and you got one calf at a show 8 hours away, and
Hmm.
but we always try to find somebody to help them families out. We have plenty of friends that we've met through buying cattle from, and I know me and Grant have met plenty of people through going to college and just buying and selling cattle, that we always try to make sure them cattle are fit at shows, our customers at least,
Hmm.
trying to help them out as much as we can. And feeding, I have customers send me videos of cattle every single day in the summer. And it doesn't bother me, because I'm trying to help them guys out, feed them things to a T, and be as competitive as what they can be.
Right. Right, because that's only going to help you and help them as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't sell these things to try and lose.
Right.
We're selling these things. We're selling these things to go win. I hate to say it, I got a competitive backbone in me that, and I know we all do. It's just the way my dad is, the way I was raised, and Grant's competitive too. We like to win. Sometimes you don't have the best one at shows, and you tip your cap and say, "Hey, congrats to you. You got to be a good winner in this deal." I think is the main thing.
Hmm.
You got to be a good winner and a good loser.
Hmm.
A good loser. You got to be a good loser is what I meant to say.
Right.
You got
Right.
to be a good loser in this deal,
Right.
and you try not to be you can't be biased either. You got to look at everyone's stock the same, even as way as yours, and I really try to do that. And yeah, you can't ever be mad about losing and winning and stuff. I think people get too wrapped up in that.
Right. When what they need to do is just go home and keep working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Because next time you're going to have another judge and another
It's a
opinion.
different show every weekend, I tell families.
Right. No, speaking of judges, we talked just a little the other day when we were talking to get this thing put together, and something that you kind of wanted to hit on here, and we've kind of saved it towards the end. The 2-panel judging.
Yeah, we talked about some ideas that a lot of guys talk on the phone and whatnot about buying, the people that buy and resell cattle, and there's just been a lot of guys talking now about a lot of these state fairs and stuff, these higher caliber shows, that just that sometimes they wish there was a 2-panel judge system and stuff like that, and or even a 3-panel. You always maybe just think about what a guy could do out there, just to conversate with another person. Just talk about the cattle that are being sorted, and I think that's something to talk about at these state fairs. These 2-panel judges. I know me and Miles Tenius had a good long conversation about it the other day, and he's a very, very bright, well-spoken young livestock enthusiast here in Illinois too. And
Mm-hmm.
we get to talking about some ideas sometimes, and we were talking about that, and just even someone to talk to.
Right.
Some of these main judges. He was talking to someone in San Antonio that was saying they hire an older gentleman to judge a show, and then hire a younger gentleman to be his associate.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even do that to do the age difference. They do it to boost the confidence of the older judge, just to be able to talk to somebody, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I think that's kind of cool. Just from a psychological standpoint, I think that's something that's very, very interesting to think about. I know I like talking to, Grant and Todd here about what we see in these cattle, and, what we're kind of seeing and breeding and whatnot, what we're seeing when we're out on the road and picking stuff up and whatnot. So I think it's very healthy to communicate about what you're seeing, and I think that's something that can maybe be touched on in these show rings.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just getting another person's opinion just to look at stuff and, hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see that? Stuff like that.
Right. I do just a little bit of county fair judging here and there, and yeah, I know what you mean. You're out there all by yourself, and it's kind of like, boy, it sure would be nice to bounce this idea off of somebody, or did I see this? Yeah,
just to conversate with another individual. You're out there, you see a lot of them judges out there making a decision by themselves, and
mm-hmm.
a lot of us that I've talked to lately think it's something to toss around. It's an idea to toss around.
Right. Absolutely.
And I hate to say it. I mean, a lot of guys want it because of the political standpoint of the deal, which I understand that, and that's another. I'm not saying that's not a healthy point to add about the whole conversation.
I'm glad you added that. Yes.
Yes. I mean, I hate that aspect of this show cattle deal, but
mm-hmm.
That's something that you see more than what you'd like, and I agree with some of those people that have brought the idea up and ran it by me and seen what I thought about it. And
mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but I have to agree with them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I won't beat around the bush and say no that you don't see it happening.
AJ Line going out there and speaking the truth, right?
I guess. I guess.
Well, we appreciate that on Before the Bid. So we like the truth and people to tell it.
And not that you
like
see it, and not even that you see it a whole lot, but
mm-hmm.
You just you like everyone to have a fair shake.
Absolutely agree. So, AJ, anything else we need to talk about here about the Line Show Cattle sale here on SC Online Sales on September 7th?
Oh boy, I just think honestly, you come look at the cattle, you'll appreciate it even more than what you do in the pictures and videos. And there's about 30 to 40 other ones running around here that are for sale private.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be throughout the fall, to be honest. I do about a 10 to 14 day tour out west and go buy some stuff out there and bring back and sell. A lot of those will be, big stout state fair, county fair ones to go show. And I talked to Colby Tabor tonight on the phone, which is our show circuit rep for the sale coming up, and what he kind of said really hit me hard, and it's something we really try to focus on here. You just won't find one that you don't think's not sound out there. I mean, we really try to hit on structure, and you try to make the most of a freak that you can,
mm-hmm.
but keeping them sound and making a fat steer too. You want them to be pack as much muscle and rib cage and look into one as you can, but those ones that win in the long run, you don't find a crippled one winning very often.
Right.
So that's another thing. We try to keep these cattle sound and as fault free on their feet and legs and their joints as we can possible. So that's really I hold something high to a lot of cattle that we bring in here
mm-hmm. and
that we raise. Trust me, I've got a few back in the pasture that I just won't sell because there's a few that aren't sound enough, and they can stay back in the pasture and they can go get fed like a commercial piece of livestock, and I just think that's the way to go about this deal. Sell sound ones, and I think you're a lot better off starting off that way.
Right. Absolutely agree.
That was something that really hit me hard tonight when he called me like that. He was like, they're all just in their own right, good structured.
Mm-hmm.
That was really exciting to hear from another guy's opinion. Like I said, I love to hear people's opinions and stuff. We don't want to be barn blind here. We love people's opinions and hearing what they have to say and hearing what they've seen at other places, and
right.
Very open-minded people. Me and Grant are always listening, trying to learn, maybe trying to find a little mud hole here and there where this calf came from and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we go around to about I'd say we've been to 80 to 100 places.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Digging through and picking through some of these, and boy, there's days where you drive and you go to 6, 7, 8, 10 places and don't find anything, and there's days where you go somewhere and you hit a gold mine.
We need a bigger trailer, right?
We need a bigger trailer, and you can't get the trailer there fast enough to go pick them up.
Right. Absolutely.
it's unfortunate some days when you're 3 or 4 hours away from home, you find a rock star, you want to go get him so bad, but you don't have a trailer attached.
Right.
You got to make another trip like the next day or two to go get him. Yeah, I've had to do that a few times.
Right.
I'm about to just start tugging the trailer along wherever I go.
Might be a good idea.
Heck, I've been driving and just stopped on the side of the road because I thought they looked like show cattle and found out whose they were and peeked over and bought one.
That's neat.
So those are pretty cool little deals.
Right.
When that happens, they don't happen every day.
And that's when good stories come, like when you find one on Facebook for $1,500 and ends up winning the Missouri State Fair, right?
Yep, that was pretty cool. They ain't all like that. Trust me.
Right. Well, AJ, appreciate you responding to Brandy and her invitation, and appreciate helping me get this thing put together, and you've been willing to come on and talk about the line show cattle, talk about the sale here on September 7th on SC, and again, just want to wish you a lot of luck with that sale, and I'm sure we'll be watching it and seeing how these things go.
Cool. Thank you, sir. It's been fun.
All right. Appreciate it very much. And again, line show cattle from Seaton, Illinois. They've got a sale September 7th, SC Online Sales. Go check it out. Check out the podcast video if you're listening to this. Just the podcast. Well, go check out the podcast video and go check out these cattle on SC. So we want to thank you for listening to another edition of Before the Bid Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Before the Bid. For more information and to learn more about upcoming podcasts and sales, visit us at beforethebid.podbean.com or Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram pages. For information on being a guest on Before the Bid, please email us at beforethebid@gmail.com or one of our social media pages. Remember, that's beforethebid@gmail.com. Happy sales to you, and we will talk to you next time on Before the Bid.